Why people hate you even when you're kind to them. Carl Jung. There was once a woman who always tried to be kind. If a friend needed help, she was there. If someone was rude, she stayed patient. If someone was hurting, she listened. She believed that kindness was the one thing the world could never reject. But slowly, she began to notice something strange. The more kind she was, the more some people seemed to dislike her. A few even mocked her patience, calling her weak. Others spread rumors about her, saying she wasn't as good as she seemed. She couldn't understand it. Why would kindness make people cruel? This is the same question that Carl Jung, the great psychologist, asked. And his answer shocked the world. Jung discovered that every person carries something he called a shadow, the darker side of ourselves we try to hide. It's made up of our flaws, our mistakes, our fears, and all the parts of us we don't want anyone to see. Now here's where it gets interesting. When someone meets a person who is genuinely kind, that kindness acts like a mirror. It reflects back everything they're not. Instead of thinking, "Wow, what a wonderful person," their unconscious whispers, "This person makes me feel small. This person reminds me of my failures." And so, without even realizing it, they project their shadow onto the kind person. They see them not as a friend, but as a threat. They call kindness weakness, patience stupidity, and understanding naive. Not because it's true, but because deep down, they wish they had those qualities themselves. Think about it. When you're patient with someone who's short-tempered, you remind them that they could be different. When you're compassionate with someone who's bitter, you reveal their lack of warmth. Instead of inspiring them, it often makes them angry. Jung explained that people would rather protect their identity, even a negative one, than face the painful truth that they could change. And so, the woman's kindness became her burden. The kinder she was, the more it triggered people's shadows. They began to invent stories about her. She's fake. She's manipulative. She must want something. It wasn't about who she really was, but about what she represented. Jung also warned that groups, not just individuals, can project their shadows. When someone dares to live differently, choosing kindness in a world that rewards cruelty, they become the perfect scapegoat. Others project their shame, guilt, and self-hatred onto them. This is why kind people so often become targets. But Jung's wisdom didn't end with the problem. He offered a way forward. He said, the key is to look inward. Sometimes what we call kindness isn't pure kindness at all. It's a hidden attempt to be liked, accepted, or loved. Jung called this the helper's neurosis. People can sense when kindness is a performance, and it triggers even more resentment. The woman eventually learned this truth. She asked herself, am I being kind because it's truly who I am, or because I want something back? That question changed everything. She realized that real kindness comes from strength, not weakness. It comes from self-respect and healthy boundaries, not from trying to please everyone. And slowly, she stopped worrying about who liked her and who didn't. She stopped giving her power away. Her kindness remained, but now it was rooted in truth. Jung once said, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. The woman chose to be kind, not for approval, not to escape rejection, but because it was her authentic self. And once she understood that, no shadow could touch her. There was once a man who always believed kindness was his greatest strength. He helped wherever he could, listened when people were hurting, and offered patience even when others were short-tempered. But strangely, the more he gave, the more some people seemed to dislike him. Instead of gratitude, he often received coldness, criticism, or even betrayal. He couldn't understand why something as pure as kindness could create so much hostility. Carl Jung would have told him that healthy people are able to appreciate genuine kindness, but unhealthy people feel threatened by it. Kindness reminds them of what they are lacking. It shines a light on wounds they would rather keep hidden. And when people feel exposed, they often respond with anger or resentment. The man's mistake was that he thought being endlessly kind meant he had to carry everyone's pain. He blurred the line between compassion and rescuing. Jung discovered that when you try to save others, you often end up creating an unequal relationship where the so-called victim eventually resents the rescuer. The rescuer, in turn, often chooses people who will reject them because deep down, they believe that rejection is what they deserve. This cycle repeats again and again, becoming a form of unconscious self-punishment. The truth is that some people don't hate you for what you do, but for what you represent. If you show kindness without boundaries, it can look like superiority. It can make others feel small. And when people feel small, they try to tear you down so they can feel equal again. This is why the man often found his kindness turned against him. But Jung also offered hope. He said the goal is not to stop being kind, but to remove the barriers that twist kindness into a weakness. Those barriers are hidden motives, being kind to win approval, rescuing others to feel important, or trying to look like the good person. When kindness comes from a place of emptiness, it becomes a performance. People sense the performance and grow suspicious of it. But when kindness comes from strength, it needs no proof, no reward, no recognition. It simply flows. The man slowly began to see that real kindness does not mean saying yes to everything. It does not mean fixing others or protecting them from their own shadows. True kindness means standing firm in who you are, setting boundaries, and letting others carry their own burdens. This is what Jung called differentiation, remaining yourself while letting others be themselves. Even then, the man noticed that some people still resented his kindness. They tested his limits, pushed him to exhaustion, and when he finally said no, they claimed his kindness was fake all along. Jung understood this as envy at work. People who feel emotionally empty don't just want what you have. They want to destroy it so they no longer feel inferior beside you. Others went further. Because they had used manipulation in their own lives, they assumed his kindness must be manipulation too. They searched for hidden motives, twisted his words, and convinced themselves he must be hiding something. Jung called this paranoid projection. The more he tried to defend his sincerity, the more convinced they became that he was guilty of something. At first, this pained him deeply. But with time he realized what Jung meant by emotional sobriety. Just as a drinker learns not to touch alcohol, an emotionally mature person learns not to absorb other people's projections. Their hatred became information instead of injury. It showed him the state of their hearts, not his worth. He no longer felt the need to explain or defend himself. His kindness was no longer a strategy, it was simply who he was. And this changed everything. His kindness became steady, unshakable, rooted in truth rather than performance. Some still disliked him, but it no longer mattered. He saw them for what they were. Mirrors reflecting his need for stronger boundaries, not enemies trying to destroy him. Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." The man chose to keep his kindness, but now it was guided by strength instead of fear. He no longer needed everyone to accept it. He no longer needed to prove it was real. He had finally learned that genuine kindness, when rooted in self-acceptance, doesn't need to be defended. It simply endures. True mastery, Jung discovered, comes when you can be kind, strong, and protected all at once. It's when your kindness doesn't depend on anyone noticing it, your help doesn't require gratitude, and your understanding doesn't need approval. When you reach this state, you step into what Jung called psychological freedom. You're no longer trapped by other people's opinions or reactions, and you're no longer a prisoner of your own desire to be liked or validated. You can give, listen, and support from a place of strength rather than need. You are simply, authentically, powerfully kind, and that alone changes everything. When someone rejects your kindness or even turns against it, it's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their inner wounds, their fears, and the shadows they refuse to face. Jung's insight was clear. These reactions are not about you. They are mirrors showing where others are struggling. Your role is not to fix them, not to prove yourself, and not to shrink to make them comfortable. Your role is to remain kind while protecting your energy, maintaining healthy boundaries, and choosing to invest in relationships with people who can genuinely appreciate your authenticity. Jung also emphasized that the world doesn't need less kindness. It needs more people who are kind from strength, not weakness. True kindness is not performative, and it is not transactional. It is an expression of your authentic self, rooted in self-acceptance, self-awareness, and emotional clarity. When kindness comes from this place, it is unshakable. It cannot be undermined by envy, projection, or criticism because it does not depend on anyone else's perception to exist. The beauty of this approach is that it transforms everything about the way you live. You no longer give to gain approval, and you no longer fear rejection. Your kindness becomes a steady, unwavering force. It influences the world subtly, yet profoundly. It models strength, calm, and compassion. It inspires others without demanding anything in return. And perhaps most importantly, it frees you from the endless cycle of trying to please, defend, or explain yourself. So when someone reacts negatively to your kindness, don't take it as a judgment on you. See it as information about them. Recognize it as a reflection of what they cannot yet face within themselves. You remain kind, yes, but you are also protected, grounded, and clear. You are kind without compromise, without apology, and without expectation. This is Jung's ultimate teaching. Authentic kindness is not a weakness. It is power in its purest, most balanced form. The choice is yours. The strength is yours. The freedom is yours. You can continue to be kind, fully and fearlessly, while safeguarding your energy and surrounding yourself with those who can truly appreciate your authenticity. When you act from this place, you are no longer a target for projection or envy. You are a guidepost for what genuine kindness looks like in the world. Thank you for staying with me through this exploration of Jung's insights. If you found value in this discussion, subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who could benefit. And if you'd like to take your support a step further, leaving a super thanks below is a small gesture that goes a long way in keeping this work alive. Remember, true kindness is a reflection of your strength, not anyone else's approval. When you master it, your life and the world around you changes forever.